My name's Aaron LeBauer from LeBauer Consulting in the CashPT Lunch Hour, and I'm here in Chicago for the APTA's Private Practice Section annual meeting or annual conference. And I've got a guest. My guest is Rick Lau, and I met Rick last year at the conference in Vegas through Jerry Durham.
Yep.
And we hung out a little bit, and then I was thinking this year, I was like, who am I going to get to bring on my podcast for the PPS? And it was a really short list of one person, that had your name on it. Well, the reason I brought Rick on is because he's going to have a unique perspective on the PT business, patient life cycle. He's from another country, so he's got another perspective on how we do it. Rick's not a PT. He's a what do you call it? You're just Joe General Public. I don't know what you call it. But he's not. Rick is a serial healthcare entrepreneur, like serial dating. He's a serial entrepreneur, very successful, and he's got some amazing businesses and insights I want to share with you. So thank you, Rick, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No, that's good. Yeah, actually, my story is I went to school up north in Canada and graduated in engineering school.
Yeah.
But all my best friends were physiotherapists, right? And so when I graduated, they're all like, "Oh man, let's go like open up some clinics. Let's try to heal the world. Let's be better than the big guys, right?"
Yeah.
And so that's what we ended up doing over the years, right? And so over a period of about 10 years, we actually bought up we bought a lot of clinics, and we put our systems and processes, we implemented the culture, and in about 5-6 years, we got to about 127 clinics.
Wow. Over the course of 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and we also raised some money to do it as well, and it's a very interesting journey that I've learned over the years, and when I look back, going from 0 to 127, there's so much lessons that you've learned, and now a lot of the business I've built now, and when I mentor clinic owners, I spend a lot of time sharing some of these lessons to give people almost like a 10 to 15 year shortcut, so you don't have to go through all those mistakes and money that they burn,
right,
to kind of get where they ultimately want to be, right?
Yeah. Well, that's neat. So, tell me about the first clinic. When did you went to undergrad?
Yeah.
So, and then did you start that right afterwards, or was it within a few years? I mean, I know your friends must have had to go to grad school to get their PT license.
Yeah. Well,
how did that come about?
Well, back in Canada, we don't. Back in our days, back in the 2000, it's still a bachelor's program, and so my buddies, when I graduated engineering, they graduated physio at the same time.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
So I ended up doing a corporate job for 2 years, and then I got sucked in, and I want to build a business, right?
Okay.
And so that's kind of how that journey started, and we took all the money we had, right, and we started buying up clinics, right? We'll buy them.
So you didn't build a clinic; you started buying clinics.
We'll buy existing clinics where owners were frustrated how they've been in the business for 10 years, they're not making money, and it's they didn't never want to get into the business. They just wanted to own. They ended up owning the business because they got successful as a big clinician, but they actually hated the business space, right? And so we were like, oh, this is a great opportunity. So when we buy them, and then we implement some of the systems, some of the patient experience stuff, and we would see our numbers kind of lift, and we're like, oh wow, this is great. Let's do another one.
Yeah.
And so, bang, over a period of the first 3 years, I think we end up wrapping about 20 to 25 clinics in 3 different provinces or in states in where you guys live, and then we raised a bit of money, and then that's where the rest of the 100.
So what service did you do for these clinic owners? What is it? Because they're treating patients.
Yeah.
And so did you take away just the administrative piece from them?
Yeah. In essence, we bought the business entirely, and we would just run it, right?
Because I know a lot of people that I work with, they're really good clinicians, and they don't like the insurance aspect. They don't like that part. So a lot of times they'll say, "Okay, I want to start my own business because I can do it." Or they don't like having a boss.
Yeah.
And so they want to get into a business because of some of those reasons, but then they were never taught business.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people struggle because they have to learn business So was it that you guys came in and said, okay, look, we'll take the business piece away from you, and we're going to make it so that you can do more of what we want? Is that kind of the...
Well, there's two sets of clinic owners, right? There was ones where like, you know what, I'm done. I'm in my 50s and 60s and I just want to retire, right? So buy my business, I'm going to stick around and do some part-time or quote work. Right?
Yes.
And then, you know, fine. But then there's the other owner that we're talking about where like they're still young, but they're just frustrated.
Right.
And so they're like, I just want to be a clinician. So just buy my business and let me be a clinician, and then you can grow the business. Right? So,
Okay.
yeah.
And what role did you have? Like, what was your role?
You know, as you know, like when you own a business, you end up having to do everything yourself, right? So I was a guy wearing 5 different hats, right? I would do the marketing stuff, right? I did the doctor marketing, the engineer doing doctor marketing, right?
Yeah.
Which was actually an amazing lead gen for us. You know, a lot of our clinics were, built that way. But so I do the doctor marketing, I do the finance stuff. I would do a lot of operational stuff, right? Like how your front desk, or how do I build a bench of like, you know, physios that want to work with you. So,
Okay, what was the biggest problem? Was there like a problem that most people were having in their business that was common amongst these first 27 or 100? I mean, other than I'm burnt out, or I don't want to run it. Was there like a operational issue that they had trouble with?
Yeah, I think, and you know, I think it's the same problem that you see today, right?
Yeah.
Where, you know, all these patients, you know, they may come into the clinic, but then after like 2 or 3 visits, like they self-discharge, you know, or maybe the clinic owner is really good at keeping like the patients like, you know, to complete their treatment plans and go about all the clinicians that, you know, that work under them end up like self-discharging, or they end up like in essence killing, you know, like the clinic's brand, right? Because they can't keep patients, right? You know, and so, and then they end up losing them, and then they end up like hiring them, so it ends up being like, you know, like a bit of a nightmare for these owners. And this is not why I want to end up owning the business, right? You know? So,
how'd you solve that problem?
Well, you know, I think this is where it took us a while to figure this out, because obviously when we first started up, we didn't do it. But like when I fast forward like 10 years of doing this stuff, it was training, right? How can we actually train, you know, like, because you know, this all comes down to like patient experience. How can we train patient experience, like from the moment they call your clinic, right to the time they come in for an assessment, they do that perfect like assessment, and that patient feels completely confident of like the value that you're giving them, so that when you actually put together like a plan, they actually complete the plan of care. And that's how you take a patient from, you know, like example, going from like, you know, like 2 visits to like 10 to 15, right? And, you know, obviously me being like the engineer, I can't believe I'm training these clinicians to do it. And so I used to, as the team got bigger and bigger, I used to bring in like, you could say clinical like experts, right? You know, that have strong clinical backgrounds, that understand business, and they translate it, you know, like patient experience into from a business terms into clinical terms, to make the physiotherapist not feel guilty about prescribing like action plans and treatment plans for like their course of care.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. So were therapists feeling like, oh, I shouldn't have them come in more than 5 or 6 times because it's unnecessary, or was it something else happening?
I think it's a confidence thing, right? Where, you know, like obviously in PT school, they don't train you on like patient experience. They don't train you on business, right? Or how to get like a patient buy-in, right?
Right.
So a lot of the, you know, in essence, when I look at what we're doing with sales training, how can we train our clinicians to be confident, so that they show value, and so they could deal with all the different objections of why a patient will not complete the plan, right?
So what were like the number 1 or 2 objections that patients would have about that?
Oh man,
I mean, it's been too long.
It's a bit of you know, it's usually the same ones. Like they don't trust. Well, I think a lot of it's like they don't have the confidence after first visit.
Yeah.
We've done nothing to demonstrate like value for them to come back. And the second one actually is most of them actually don't have the confidence to ask, right? Because these patients are coming in and you're already like a level of 40 already. Right? But if you don't show them what needs to be done, and you don't tell them what needs to be done, then like you lose a bit of your credibility because you try to like mean it every single time. Oh yeah, just book the next visit or book the next visit. Right? And so a lot of stuff we did was like, okay, how can we train our clinicians and the front desk? Because the front desk is a very pivotal role to be able to like, in essence, pre-book that patient from like the entire plan of care from day one.
Yeah. Right? Who's more important, the front desk or the therapist?
Hands down, front desk. Yeah, and I learned this a bit of the hard way. It was interesting about. I still remember this day, and this is classic, where you have a clinic and one of your superstar physios is right. Yeah. And he ends up, either opening up a clinic or he ends up like working across the street. And what does he do? He takes that caseload with him, right? And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh shit, I have to fill up this revenue. So what do you do? I remember this day where like, okay, I got to double down on my marketing, so I'm spending a boatload of money on this marketing. But then like, I'm looking at this marketing dollars, but I'm like, I'm not seeing assessments booked in. It's like, what's going on, right? There should be a correlation with the amount of dollars you spend on marketing into assessments. And then it hit me because my buddy called me one day and said, hey, look, I called your clinic 5 times, right? And the first time I called, no one picked up. And the second time they called, no one picked up. And the third time, I was put on hold for 10 seconds, And this is a new patient, who want to book into the clinic, right? And so this is why I don't think enough clinic owners spend enough time to be able to focus on training with the front desk,
Yeah.
And so that really was one of the main reasons why I created this tool where I want to actually know, in a given month, if I was to take a snapshot of each of my clinics, what is the answer rate of my clinic, right? Meaning, if I was to, so I paid about 50 people. I paid these people to call my clients about 50 times each month, right? And then on these 50 times, how many times my front desk would pick up?
Yeah. Is that all you're measuring? Is how many times?
Yeah, because all I want to know is that if 100 people call, right?
Yeah.
How many times did my front actually pick up, right? Is it 100%? Is it 80? Is it 70? And I was totally blew my mind because when I did this test, it was 67%. So, and I know this, so your average clinic gets roughly 1,000 phone calls in a month, right? So let's just say you round it up, you're answering 70% of these phone calls. That means each month you're missing out on 300 phone calls.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, you own a business, so out of these 300 phone calls, how many think are actually potential new patients?
Oh, out of that, it's at least 25%.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So then that's another 50 patients in here. Well, what's 25% of 300 is 75? I don't know.
Yeah, the 25
75.
300, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And that's just you picking up the phone.
Right.
And the next step is is your front desk trained to say the right things, to show value, and all the different objections why a patient would not book, right? So the next step is what is the conversion rate of each of the front desk?
What was so 67% of people were actually getting their calls picked up.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of that 67%, what percent were converting into patients?
Well, I didn't have that because once again, I paid a bunch of buddies to call my clients, and that was really the infancy of why I created a call here. I was this is what I want to know. Each day, I want to know what the answer rate of my clients are, and I also want to know the conversion rates of each of my staff, right? And I want to know why patients are booking. Because the minute I know why these patients are booking, then I can actually put together training to help them with that. And you listen to calls together, and then okay, each week you would spend time role playing and training. So that's kind of the evolution of how I started my my software business, Call Hero.
Right. Call Hero. Yeah. So Call Hero. So there's a good transition, but so Call Hero is it's a software business.
Yeah. It is how do I say this? It's kind of it's a new company that doesn't exist. There's nothing like this, but in a nutshell, it is a new company that does front desk training and phone metrics, right? And so what it does, what our coaches do is we empower the clinic owners, and we work with the front desk staff to train them and to empower them to be able to convert more patients over the phone.
So do you do like secret shoppers kind of thing, like where people call and pretend like they're patients, or is it just calling to see if someone's answers?
No. See, this is what I did initially, but Call Hero now is like it's actually we actually have a hardware that we actually integrate into your phone lines.
Oh, really?
This is like hardcore. Like this is how geek out we're getting right now. So I got it's like. And so we have this, we have our Call Hero box and plug into your phone lines, and we're actually analyzing your 1,000 phone calls right now.
Wow.
Right? And then each day, each hour, we can tell you what your answer rates are, when you're missing these calls right now.
Will it tell me how many people are trying to market to me for buying something else and not patients?
Yeah. Because we started like, a lot of the stuff we do is like, we're using AI to transcribe, and we started analyzing the output of the calls, right? So I could tell you that, okay, you know what, these certain marketing channels is working, and you know what, out of your different front desks, like, who is better at conversion with phones and who is not?
Really?
Yes. And I can tell you why they're not. Wow. You can listen to these calls together. And think about this, how powerful it would be, right? Is that if each day or each week you knew, like, I'll give you an example. One of the first customers that started with us, he gets about 2,000 phone calls a month, and he was spending about $5,000 to $6,000 a month in marketing. And he had no clue. He never knew he had a problem with his phones, right? And so when he first started with us, like we did that simple test. We tested his clinic randomly. You know, like, what is your answer rate? Like, he showed up at 70%, right? And then we plug your system in, and then what we realized that it was bang on. Like, you know, like first month, 2,000 phone calls, he was only answering 70% of his phone calls, right? Which means out of those 2,000 calls, 600 of those he's missing. Wow. You do not have a chance to convert them, right?
Yeah.
Yet he's spending $5,000-6,000 on marketing each month.
Right. That's crazy. Now, is that within business hours? How do you or is that 24 hours a day?
24. Yeah, it's whatever calls. But here's the thing: if you knew that and this is what we did with Jamie. He said, "Well, that's not fair because we're not open on Mondays, right? Because it's a long weekend." I was like, "No." And we looked at his numbers. He had 100 people calling on the Monday long weekend. If you knew you had 100 people calling on Monday, would you pay your front desk $15 an hour to answer those phone calls?
A little bit more. Pay him overtime.
Sure, but what is the value of a new customer to you, like in the U.S.? Like a CashPT?
Yeah, I call it about $10,000.
Okay.
Because one person is going to come in and get their course of care, which will be about $800 to $1,500. But if they're happy, they're gonna go refer a handful of their friends, which turns it into $10,000 or more.
Yeah. So imagine this: every one of those phone calls that you don't pick up or you don't convert is $10,000. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
Right?
Who isn't gonna spend $200 to pay someone?
Yeah. But at a minimum, like in Canada, like most clinic owners don't necessarily understand lifetime value. But at a minimum, they understand like what the annual value is, right?
So back up and explain. I'm not sure everyone understands what is lifetime value.
So lifetime value is like over the course of how much is that customer worth to you for their lifetime. So let's just say they come in the first year and they complete their plan of care is $1,000, right? You know, and then maybe like 3 years later they have another acute injury, they come back for another $1,000, right? And then the year after buy orthotics or massage. If you add up all those like dollars amount on, you know, this like what does that value add up to? And maybe they might refer a friend and family. That may be another $5,000. So that's how you probably come up with $10,000, right? But even at a minimum, if like they complete their plan of care, like their annual like value should be at least $5,000 to $1,000, right? You know, CashPT is like $2,000.
Yeah, it's about that, and I feel like, you know, CashPT and the numbers I've seen are about the same.
Right.
You know, for that, I think, you know, a lot of it depends. But yes, I mean, if you've got more wellness programs, that number goes way up.
Totally. Yeah. It depends on the other stuff that you're selling.
If you can keep them in your ecosystem, that lifetime value is going to go sky high.
Yeah, like a lot of the clinics I've, you know, like a lot of these clinics I mentioned, like they run multidisciplinary clinics, right? And it's something I don't see much of a trend down here, but it's a trend up north, where like you start seeing these like $2-3 million clinics where, you know, $1 million of that would be like chiropractic, $1 million of that would be physiotherapy, and then another like $1 million would be like a split between personal training and massage therapy.
Yeah.
And like, but if you add this up, this is a $3 million client. But if you look at lifetime value of like how this person may shop and buy from all the different services, like it's not hard to add up like $10,000, right?
Right. No, that's pretty easy.
You know, and then you boil it back down to like what's happening in the front desk. is that like, Jamie in this case, when he first started, he was missing like 600 phone calls in a month, right? Even at a minimum, let's just say 10% of those like 600 calls are actually potential new patients. That's like 60 new patients, right?
Wow. Yeah. So
Just answering the phones.
Yeah, just answering the phone.
Who cares about what you say? And so with Jamie, like, this is exactly what we did. Month 2. Now that I started knowing what his like answer rate and how shitty it was, you start fixing his operations. You start printing out like you start having KPIs on his front desk. So the front desk start making this metric as their patient experience number, right? Because if they have a bad experience over the phone, guess what? They're gonna have a shitty experience when they come on day 1. They're not gonna see your plan of care. They're not gonna pre-book for the next like 10 to 15 visits, right? And all we did for the first month with Jamie was get him from answering 70 to like about 93%. And you know what his revenue lift instantly within the first like 6 to 7 weeks was? 15,000 a month. Wow. It was like bonkers. Wow. And you know what blew his mind? He was like, I had this business the entire time. So why the fuck am I spending money on marketing? I spend all this money on marketing, but I can't even handle the demand.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with like, this is like just the beginning of that patient life cycle.
So for him, was it he didn't have people at the times people were calling, or people were getting put on hold, or
he had 3 people front desk working at one time and still answering 70%. Like this is a big clinic, right? 3 front desks working at like full time at the same time. Yet he still didn't know. The reality is like, if you don't know what it is, if you can't measure, you can't actually fix it.
Right.
And he actually never knew he had a problem. He thought if he was okay.
Never measured.
He was like, why would I have a problem? I have 3 front desks working all the time. Right. But this is like instant, and this is what more and more owners are discovering is that like, hey, look, most of the money is actually in the front desk. So if you actually can measure them, train them, you empower them, right? And like, I actually hate the word front desk because it's not. It doesn't make me want to be a front desk, or it doesn't make me want to stay in that job for more than a year. And up north, there's a big trend of calling them client experience like coordinators, client experience managers, right?
I call mine a customer care specialist.
Yes, right. Patient care. I love that term, man. Like, but the thing is, you got to measure it now too. How do you measure like patient experience for them? Right. So there's like 2-3 metrics I really like. I like using Net Promoter Score, because that's good outcome measures. And from a patient standpoint, I like using some of these phone metrics that we talked about and some operational metrics. But then, if they have these numbers, it empowers them to actually want to do a better job.
So you measure. So Net Promoter Score is questionnaire based. For patients, like at when they first start and after a few visits. Is that how you do it?
I like to do it at day 1, right? Because I want to know whether they had like this is where everything was wrong, right? I like to do day 1, week 2, like, and then this week.
Okay.
Right?
And then you measure like whether they pick up the phone or
Each day we measure an answer rate. So every one of the client experience coordinators actually know the metrics from the previous day.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. And then the third thing
is booking rate, right? So each staff will actually know the individual booking rate.
How do you track that?
Call does that.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then as an owner, right? Or maybe like if you're a big enough clinic, you have an office manager, or in this case we call it a client experience manager.
I love it.
They start listening to these calls with the front desk, right? On the ones that didn't book. And then they start training them and say, hey, look, let's look at this call together, right? Like this is like, they talked about price, like when they talked about price, you just gave them the price and then they just hung out, right? You didn't show any value, right? On why they made the right decision, but you made it in essence, you commoditized like physical therapy.
Yeah. So how are you, or what's the, let me ask, how are you showing, I want to ask, how are you showing value, but what I really want to ask is, what's the number one mistake people make when speaking to someone on the phone who doesn't show value?
What's the number one mistake?
Yeah, what's the mistake or the thing that people are doing wrong, like when they're speaking to a potential patient on the phone, that does the opposite of show value? What takes the value and commoditizes it into rigid?
I think they just do what they normally do right now. Right? And I had this interesting conversation, with Jerry last night. Is that, if I was to if we're gonna rehire like everyone in the front desk, I would hire people who actually have sales training, that actually have customer experience training, and not like typically people who's had experience working in another like physio clinic, or they work in a doctor's office, or like up north we call it medical office assistants. Those are like the worst type of hires. But most clinic owners hire that because they're but they know nothing about patient experience. Right? What you need is, and this is a bit of a dirty word, like healthcare, like what we really need is sales training.
Sales,
right?
Yeah.
But obviously translate that into patient experience, showing value, teaching them on how you deal with like all the various sales objections and why someone went up lower.
Yeah. So I mean, I think people think sales is dirty because it's like they feel like you're trying to sell me a car that I don't need.
Yeah.
But it's authentic when we're trying to sell someone something that they absolutely need.
And that you believe in it.
Yeah,
right?
you believe
if you didn't believe in what you did as a clinician, as a physiotherapist or chiropractor, yes, you're selling.
Right.
But if you actually want that person to actually feel better and recover, and the only way for them to do it is if they actually stick with your treatment plan, your action plan, you have to like get them to buy into what you're suggesting to them. Otherwise, like, because they already have these false beliefs on like why it didn't work last time with another physical therapist, or why it didn't work with that like chiropractor last time. And so when they come into you, they're gonna have the exact same false beliefs. And if you don't show that value, or you don't sell your value and make them feel like they made that right decision, then like, yeah, they're gonna self-discharge after your third visit. Right?
So how does someone show value on the phone when they're not a therapist? How do you train the front desk? Like, is there something that they ask or a way that they speak to patients?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. In Colorado, we have like call cabin, so we got all the training in there, and so it's like we got like 15 different little modules, and this is where all that kind of content's on there, where our phone coaches will actually work with the front desk and train them directly.
Okay, so they'll listen to the call and say, give them feedback, say, hey, when you said this, we could tell something was happening.
Yeah. Well, initially we made it self-serve, so we built like in essence all the training material for the owners to be able to implement with like their front desk. But then most owners are like, oh, I'm so busy, my checklist is so big, I'm so practicing, I don't have time to implement this stuff. So then we're like, great, you know what? We're gonna get our coaches to work directly with your front desk, and let's train them together. And then we're like, okay, then we're gonna start working with them through metrics, right? And we're saying like, does this training actually increase the answer rates? Does it actually increase the booking rates? And does it actually increase the net promoter score? If it does, do more. Right. And then the beautiful thing is that like we all know how difficult it is with hiring a front desk, right? And a lot of our clients right now are actually using it as part of their training tool. So when they hire that front desk, within the first 30 days, first of all, how do you know what to train them? And secondly, how do you know whether you chose the right person? So now they're using actually this tool and these metrics to determine whether they should keep this person after the 30 days.
Right, so it's like 30-day trial, go through this course.
And what is their metrics compared to your superstars? Right? And will the training move these numbers? If they don't, then you know what? Either it was a wrong hire or the wrong training.
Is there something you look for besides sales experience in someone for the front desk?
Yeah. It's I just wrote this article on my blog about this. It is how to hire a front desk in 60 minutes, because it's really hard, right? You put a job posting out, you get 100 resumes, right? And how do you choose from that, right? So I use this process called like group interviews, right?
Say that again?
It's called group interviews. So in a nutshell, it's this, like a lot of business guys use it, it's great. So you put a job posting out, you get a couple hundred resumes. And the challenge is like, how can you quickly scan through all this stuff and be able to get and then start doing group interviews.
So you see how people interact with each other, kind of thing?
Well, the first step is like I'll use something. You invite 100 people. Let's just say there's 200 people that apply. Out of that 200, 100 you're like, you know what? It's a quick scan. I like these people, right? You know, they kind of fit in the checklist. You invite the 100. 50 will actually show up to the group interview. You tell them it's a group interview, right? But the ones that don't show up, great. You don't want them anyways, right? Because they're not going to show up to work, right? So the 50 that show up, within the first half an hour, we run 2 quizzes on them, right? One is whether they're good with math and they're good at like it's a bit of an intelligence test. And the second half is like doing almost a bit of like a teamwork test, right? How are they working with team members, right? And the ones that pass that test, that 50, then they go into the last half an hour is like 2-3 of them will actually go through the actual interview.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then based on the interview, we would run these other personality tests to say, okay, how does this person react when they are stressed out, or how do they react when like normally, right?
Yeah.
And then like it's a bit of a science to hiring, so this way you don't like fuck it up.
Do you look at personality? I mean, you're looking at personality type, but do you look at like how people? I mean, you're also looking for people that are maybe personality and do they connect with your patient or your ideal patient?
Yeah, and that's why these personality tests really help give you that answer without you trying to like figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
We're trying to create this bit of a systematic process, you know, on how you can hire, you know, like 100, how you could like hire like a front desk leader in 6 minutes.
Yeah, so you group interview, and by the time half the people self-select out.
Yeah, it's like a funnel, right?
Yeah, it's a total
I
funnel.
invite 200 people, 100 people get invited, 50 show up. Out of the 50 that show up, you know, maybe 20 of them will pass your test, right? Like they have to have intelligence, they have to be good personality, they will work with teams, right? They have to be emotional.
And then that's it.
And out of the 20, right? Like you're gonna pick the top 3 that score.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna run more, like, you know, and then that's where you do kind of like the interviews, right? And then from there you're gonna usually pick up like one superstar, right?
Yeah.
And then that one, but think about this, that's one out of the original 200.
It's cool.
And most people end up just what? Just like maybe doing a telephone interview for 10 minutes. There's no way you can hire people like in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I created a little automated filter with like Gmail Gmail's auto reply and filter, and to weed out like people that are serious.
But I think the most important part is like hiring is the first step. The second step is like once you hire them, do you have the right training in place for them to succeed? Because this is where most owners kind of screw it up, right? You hire the right person, you throw them in the wildfire, hoping they could survive, right? And then they end up like getting super frustrated. The first 2 weeks they'll quit. This is too much, right? Yeah, and then like you're like, I don't know why this person quit, like that, and you gotta do this process all over again. And then if it took you 5-6 hours to interview like 30 or 40 people, you gotta go through that all over again. And so, but this is what I've learned the most when I want to go to these clinics is the worst thing you do is keep someone at your clinic that doesn't want, right? So you should be able to hire very fast, and that's why you need tools and analytics within the first 30 days. Is that like if they don't have the right fit, they don't just hit those numbers, like you gotta get them out, and that's a hard decision to do. And if we learn from what like Mel was teaching us today, do that 5-second test, right?
5-second rule,
right?
Yeah. I'm
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go, fire it. Day 30, because you had a shitty answer rate, your booking rate is not good. We've done a boatload of training, and like, you know, like a good example is if you look at your top performers like front desk, they may be converting at 80% of like new patients over the phone, and this new person just with training, they're still stuck at 20%. Don't keep them, right? Like if they're at 20% and you train them and that number doesn't move, you shouldn't keep them. But like it's okay, like to measure them, but like you gotta see that progress, right? So, and think about this: you spend all this money on marketing, you get 10 leads come in, and like, you know, one person will book like 8, the other person will book 2. That's like 4. That's a difference of what, 6? 4. Actually 6. 6 new patients.
6 new patients.
Yeah, if you're telling me each patient is $6,000 per year, or sorry, like $10,000. But let's just say it's $2,000, right? That's $12,000, right?
Right. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's
half of your salary. If they're part time.
Yeah, that's like that's a part-time like reception.
Yeah.
That's just off 10 leads, right?
Right.
You know, why if you had 100? What is it costing you? And guess what? Unless they know your brand, they're gonna call the next place, right?
Yeah, no, that's great thoughts.
That's a lot of talking, man. Right?
No, but that's really good. One of the reasons I wanted to sit down with you was to like that level of thought process.
Okay.
Not just hiring someone to fill a role, but to take something off my plate or a therapist or business owner's plate and make the business succeed more. And if you know the metrics, then you know what that person's worth, and then you can easily say, look, you deserve a raise. You know, you deserve $20 an hour, $25 an hour. Because if someone is booking 80% of the phone calls versus 20%, they're worth whatever.
You know what's even better? Is that this is even better is that if you could actually, you know, like, because every single year everyone's asking for performance reviews, and like, if you don't give them money, they're gonna quit. And they're gonna do this whole process. So like, most owners are held by ransom already, that they're forced to give like a raise, even if they do a crappy job. Right? But if you tie in a compensation plan where like you're like, hey, look, I'm gonna give you like $30 or $20 for every single new patient that you book on the phone, because I can measure this now, that will totally incentivize them. Right? If they can make an extra $20 an hour by converting that phone call, and then when you get in, like, that will totally make me want to like do the training at nighttime. Or do the training.
Sit in front of the phone and
right. I'm gonna answer the phone calls because everybody's phone calls a book is $15, right? So, you know, there's a lot of value in that, right?
Right. That's awesome. That's really cool. That's a great way. Have you seen that kind of incentive work for businesses?
Well, back in my day when we had like all these clinics, one of the things we built was a call center. We did. I don't think there's a lot of call centers for like rehab clinics in the US.
Not that I know of. There are for like, you know, support for your phone and all that stuff.
So we did this up north. We routed all our phone calls from all our 100 clinics into a call center because we were frustrated with them not answering the phones and the fact that we couldn't train the front desk fast enough to do like some of the stuff we talked about. So what like and so a lot of the experience I've had over the years also is like actually how you set up like a call center, right? But that also has limitations as well because there's a lot of friction with a patient and if you're calling the call center, and that's the worst way to start with patient experience. So that's something I've learned myself.
Yeah.
And so that was really the efforts of why I created Call Hero. How can I actually empower clinics at the clinic level to be able to have that same type of like technology, like the same type of like thinking in terms of like answer rates and conversion rates and training to be able to like drive new patient conversion.
That's really awesome. Now, how do you get someone like? Is there? So now that you've basically taken and gone from 70% to 90% front desk answer rate, and you have a conversation with them. I mean, even just that change in answer rate makes a big difference. Is there something that you're doing at the front desk level to get some of that information they find to the therapist or transition to the therapist, or is it just making the improvement in front desk make the back end experience with the therapist?
Yeah, well,
I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
no.
is there like an intentional something else you're doing from booking to therapist, or is it just create a downstream positive?
Well, what Call Hero does is specifically, right at the phone level.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing, or like what Jeremy is going is like working on the patient experience. What happens like after you book them? There's all these other things you need to be able to do to make sure that that patient experience that they've had over the phone call and like with the value that they thought they're going to get, they're actually going to get that, and they don't get disappointed on day one, right? And that they end up giving you like a net promoter score of like 9 and 10 because they love you, right?
Yeah.
And so like you can start measuring this stuff. So if you start like like funnels is like a super popular word that everyone's using. If you start looking at patient experience as a funnel, right? Starting from the moment like you drive traffic, whether it's online or social or whatever you do, and the reality is most of them are calling you right now, right? So you measure that, and then you're measuring it, booking them, you're measuring like what the outcome is on day one. Right. And then are they booking the plan that you did? Self-discharge. You can measure the funnel if you wanted to, and then once you knew what area that you're leaking and that's a problem, that's when you put your efforts to fix it. Right. Or you hire other people to do it for you, or like there's you guys are lucky in the U.S. that there's so many great business gurus here that could go in and help fix these clinics. Up north, there's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
I get tons of these requests, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to do this stuff. Just read my blog.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what are some of the other differences between kind of what? Well, there might not be a difference in when you're selling a product. Like, what are some of the differences you see between our system here in the U.S. and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, we talked a lot about this in the past couple of days with we shared a lot of the stories with Atletico. They want one of the clinics up here, and I was talking to Jerry Jordan as well, and you as well. Like it's the same. Like, we have the exact same problems in Canada and in the US. Our reimbursements are way lower, so it's actually harder for us. And but all these clinics still struggle with the exact same business issues, right? They still have like front desk issues, they still have patient experience issues, they still have like recruitment issues, is it easier to hire like physical therapists like in the US?
I don't think so right now. I think there's more jobs than there are physical therapists. I get a lot of solicitations for jobs already on the business, and when I tried to hire someone last year, it took a lot longer than I expected.
Okay, because like up north, it's hard to hire physical therapists. It just seems like there's always a shortage, especially in rural areas. It's even harder. And sometimes we might not. You put a job posting at one of the associations, and you might get someone email you for 3-4 months, right? And then because we only have one person email you, just end up hiring them, right? But that might end up being a bad hire too, right? And that might script the entire brand, and future business, right? And so one of the things I recommend to a lot of owners is that you should be constantly building your bench of physical therapists, right? Like someone's building a funnel for like recruitment where these guys are on your bench and you're keeping these relationships warm, right, into all your stuff, but ultimately when the time comes where you actually like have that job opening, you can bring these guys in, and they'll like quit their job in 2 weeks to come work. Right, and that's kind of what I did when I built mine, because there's no way we could expand to like all these different things if we didn't have a bench.
So when you expanded, were you also hiring people as well, or
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you constantly have to how can you get more involved with? Yeah, how can you like bench more like students, right? To want to work with you, right? And those, to me, like that's kind of the best success we've had is because there's a lot of them motivated, they want to be coached, they don't have egos, right? So
that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about you've got another business, CSE, like clinic supplies. I just want to touch on it. Like, what are some? How does that fit with these other two businesses?
Yeah.
How'd you get there? How did this what do they all have in common? Business is business.
They have me in common.
Yeah, me in common.
Well, CSE is a good example where CSE is like one of Canada's largest like healthcare suppliers, right? And so we're almost like the Amazon of like supplies for physical therapists, chiropractors, and massage therapists, right? It's a busy site. We have about 60,000 visitors a month. We pretty much sell like everything, like everything.
All clinic supplies, towels, sheets, whatever.
It's also like office supplies too. So we're hooked up with Staples, we get office supplies, and all the braces that you would sell, like we got all the brands like PJO, Powerhouse. And then in one shopping cart, you can buy like pretty much like everything. Wow. And so this way, like and this it was funny because CSC happened by accident. Is when we grew all these different clinics. I was like, oh my god, this is a pain in the ass for supplies, because when you have all these different locations and you have all these different suppliers, those are like 10 checks to write. That is 10 cookbook entries you have to put in. And so it created a lot of infrastructure costs. So I created this website, because it fixed a problem that we had. I was running these businesses.
So it was a system that turned into a business.
Yeah, and then what ended up happening was that then other companies were like, this is awesome. And we're a little more expensive, which is fine, but the time that we're saving for them is massive, right, on the accounting side. And then this way you can spend more time, like, for example, answering my phones. And so this business actually it's just been booming like gangbusters. And, last year we added an extra $1 million in sales. And so it's been crazy because, it's just been a really good success story. And I got something that I do a lot of is I build a lot of leaders. Right? And so this business is I spend about maybe an hour a week
Yeah.
just coaching and developing like my general manager. And she runs the business like in New York City. Right? I've been doing this for the past 5 years.
So she runs the business. She
runs
it
it
day to day.
She runs it day to day. She develops the salespeople. She develops like so it's the same principle of like how you run like multiple clinics. Right? How can you mentor or develop leaders at the clinic level, like a clinic owner or maybe a clinic director, to be able to build that business so it doesn't lose you.
As a boss or supervisor, what is the way that you get other people to buy into your mission and do what you've asked them to do? How do you do that?
Read a lot of books. All the same books everyone reads.
I feel like that's such a specialized service.
Well, the core of it is like you got to be able to hire the right person that fits into your core values. Right? It's kind of weird because everyone talks about the core of it, but like that's so important. Once you hire the right person, like you got to make sure that like over time that you develop this trust and loyalty, right, with them. And then they have to be coachable, but it's just it's kind of hard to explain in a very thing, but it's a bit of a process.
Yeah.
But I have a bit of a knack of leaders, like CSC is run by my GM Sharon. Paul Hero is run by my business partner Alan. And we have and then another business that's run by. So it's about building.
Yeah. So when you hired them, did you hire them in the similar way? Did you do like a group interview, or was it a little bit different?
They were sitting on my bench for like the past 2-3 years, right? Because throughout your life, you always meet people that you're like, fuck, this person's great.
Yeah.
And so it's about keeping some of the people that you met over your life that you would say, oh, you know what? If I had a role this person, I would love this person. Yeah. So it's keeping those relationships warm and and flying them into your events, right? Like doing stuff that makes them want to work. So you're building loyalty with them, right? And trust with them. But it's not like just putting a job posting and say, hey, look, that's too more of a reactive way of hiring leaders. Like I'm big on relationship building, so a lot of people I've met over the years, and the ones that kind of fit my criteria and will come like bench and end up getting like just different positions.
It's awesome. What looking back, was it 10 years or so?
It's been 15 years. Wow. I was trying 40, man.
Nice. I'll be 44 in like 3 weeks.
44? Yeah, I had this aha moment. I was like, oh god, I lived close to half my life here.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
But I love what I'm doing. I think it's funny. I find like entrepreneurs is almost like a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
It's like fun to like see other people that have like super success. It's almost like you get gratified when you see other people just get so passionate about it.
Yeah, it is. And I come to events like this or other events, and it's like you get a lot of energy from it too. It's a ton of ideas that I don't have time to implement.
We don't.
So when you look back over the last 15 years, is there one thing that you wish you did differently, or that you would say like, okay, I did this and it was a mistake and it hurt me for a few years, but not hurt you, but like it put you back on the back foot or whatever. Is something you look back and say, oh, I should have done that?
Yeah, you know what? I think about this a lot because like I'm an engineer. Like I'm very hands-on, right? So I like to do things myself. And I think early in my career when I was I wanted to be that guy to take care of it, right? And so I had to figure it myself, right? Or like I had to be hands-on myself, right? And I think over the years I learned that like when I micromanage people, it doesn't work. And I realized that for me to actually own a business that is worth something, right? It's a key because I'm not building these businesses by myself. I'm building these businesses so that it creates value. There's like awesome jobs that people love, and then ultimately it's going to sell like at a working multiple. Right? But so what I've learned over the years is that I need to be able to start changing my mindset of leaders and empowering the leaders to be able to implement a lot of systems and processes.
Well, I always think they
But I have to like actually let them fail, and I have to let them figure it out, and I can't just be always on it, right? Because when I did that, I lost all the clarity that were leaders that, you know, like they're like, well, fuck it, you know it better, do it yourself. But that's the same thing you do at all levels of your organization, right? Can you empower people at all organizations so that they love what they do, they're passionate with what you do, and they also have the whole, they can run it themselves, right? And they have pride in it. You know? And so that when they get that email in the weekend or at nighttime, they'll actually respond to it. And they're doing it out of passion, right? Not because like, oh my god, like I gotta go to work, the boss is sending me an email. They actually care, right? So I had to come to this realization that if I actually want to build this business that's worth keeping and still, like I need to be able to develop these people, right? And to be able to implement strategies and, you know, like systems and processes, and also bring in experts that know their domain more than me, right? So it may cost money to bring in like successful people to help you through this journey, but and there's a reason why it costs money, because like they're giving you like your 5 or 10 years shortcut, right? And there's mistakes and there's lessons, you know, like, and if you want to spend 10 years trying to figure it out, great, you know. I wish I like had a mentor sooner, right? Because I didn't really have a mentor until like 5 years ago, right?
Okay.
Yeah, having a mentor actually started changing like everything I did.
Did that help you get out of the micromanagerial position?
I think they have out here like I'm part of a group called Entrepreneurs Organization, so it's EO. It's all these successful entrepreneurs that have like what $2-3 million. Like I think you have to minimum a business that does like 2 million or more, right? But in essence, like you get this group of like almost 40 advisors. This group that meets with you like once a month, and it's all these entrepreneurs that have the same position as you. They all have marketing problems, they all have sales problems, they all have hiring problems. Like it's the exact same problems, but in all different industries, right? And so I learned the most when I started doing this group, because I was like, oh my god, like my business is no different than my buddy who runs a software business. It's no different than running like Vancouver's largest like plumbing business, right? You know. And so, but then you start sharing experiences on, you know, like what you should do differently and lessons they've learned, and it's like you're like, oh my god, this is great. So I think it's tremendous value. Either you bring in a mentor, you join groups like this to actually help educate you, and hire the experts that actually help you with that information.
That's awesome. And now, are you doing that for other people? Are you mentoring? You said you mentioned a couple of you're mentoring other people in business. Who are you helping and what are those?
Yeah, I mentor some like tech companies, right? You know, like they're in health tech space. And then I mentor 3 clinic teams too. You know, the ones that want to multiply into, like not just like the ones but the ones that kind of want to go through the journey that me and my buddies went through.
Yeah.
A national brand, or even a potential brand owning 30, 40 years.
Well, I'm one clinic guy. I'm like, that's 100 clinics.
Yeah, but you know what? That's the thing too. Like, I think it's actually and this is why I learned when you actually grew so fast, so big.
Yeah.
That we didn't have the systems or process to keep it together.
Right?
Because when you're small, you can move fast and like you can control everyone at the clinic level if you implement the same processes and systems, right? But when you start having all these different locations, you start having that level of like middle management.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different game.
It sounds like the holes in the systems get bigger if they're not tight.
This is the self-realizing for me. I'm a good 5 to 10 million guy.
Yeah.
I could build a business in 10 million pretty quickly, but running a $100 million company is completely different. That is not my space. Like we end up hiring an outside guy, and this because that's completely different. I'm 5-10 million dollars. That's my comfort zone, right? 0 to 5-10 easy.
So if someone wants to get some more information from you or learn more about you or find you on social media, where can they find you? What's your website? What's your social media?
You can find me on Instagram, LeBauer. And then so my website is mycallhero.com. So just check that out.
All right, and I've got one of your. You gave me. Where do you find it? It's the. The ultimate phone training guide to booking more patients. So if you're listening, you can get Rick's ultimate training guide to booking more new patients. 23 killer secrets revealed by the phone lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the phone lady is one of our training partners. So I got her put together like the top 23 like secrets that she does when she trains her clients. You know, and then, so there's some good tips on there.
So if you're listening to the podcast, you can go to my blog, and I'll post the link on the blog post below the video. Any last thoughts or anything else you want to share for people that are looking to start a business or grow their business?
Cash is great.
About
It's just like,
you dropped a lot in all this.
Whatever I said in the last 60 minutes. If you can implement one of those things, it'll be good.
What's the thing you're most proud of?
Most proud of? Oh man, these are light alternative streets.
Too sweet.
I am. I think I said this earlier. The biggest pride I actually have is actually because it's like it's almost like having a child, right? It's like I have a 3-year-old. Like seeing them walk for the first time, it's amazing. You want to record it, right? Because I like business, so when I see like leaders like have success and like they start making more money, have more pockets, and they start like seeing their like having massive traction with their teams, it just really that's awesome. That's my goal. That's my goal.